Yes, folks, while Australians are dying and losing their homes in bushfires, the left are playing politics. And I'm not just talking about the Australian left here, I'm also talking about the New Zealand left as well. Now, these fires in Australia are a natural occurrence and they're not caused by climate change, as the left would have you believe. But regardless of what you believe, every time these fires occur, they leave death and destruction in their wake. And for some strange reason, the left seem to lack empathy when it comes to these catastrophic fires. Have a look.
Kia ora, good evening. One person is confirmed dead and another 17 are missing in East Gippsland in Victoria as the true horror of the Australian bushfires becomes clear. The Navy is evacuating 1,000 people trapped on a beach in Malakuta, with thousands others having to wait there another night. Bushfires are raging across the country, but the states of Victoria and New South Wales are suffering most. 7 people have died in New South Wales since Monday night.
That's 7 dead in 4 days.
News Hub reporter Mitch McCann took these photographs in the south coast. We'll cross to Mitch in a moment, but first, here's Ruwani Pereira with the latest from Victoria.
This is now looking much more like a humanitarian aid operation than your normal fire evacuation. Australian naval personnel coming ashore to the fire-ravaged Victorian coastal town of Malakuta to deliver aid and get out up to 1,000 of the 4,000 people still trapped here, waiting since New Year's Eve in the thick smoke. 2 Navy ships laden with emergency supplies are waiting at sea. The Air Force is also on standby.
The airport at Malakuta, I understand, is open at the moment, so our primary focus for the next 24 to 48 hours is going to be supporting the evacuation of the high priority people from Malakuta.
With the only road out of town still closed for another week, thousands are still stranded, starved of the bare essentials.
Yeah, meanwhile in New Zealand some PC idiots are donating tents to so-called Syrian refugees.
Campers at a popular music festival in Mount Maunganui can choose to give back this year once the partying's over. Instead of leaving behind their tents or sending them to a scrap heap, they can donate them to refugees fleeing the war in Syria.
What about the Australians fleeing the fires?
And as Gia Garrick explains, it's because of a couple of good Kiwis. A growing city of tents as people set out for one of the biggest festivals of the new year. 30,000 people expected.
This is Bay Dreams 2020.
The organisers pitching in to accommodate a new idea. Born from a volunteering stint in the Greek islands, Kate Robertson saw thousands of people in need of shelter, so she came home and co-founded the Tent Collectors with her partner.
At the moment, these refugees have nothing. They're running from countries like Syria that are war-torn, turning up on these islands with no possessions but what the clothes they're wearing and maybe one bag. So if we can give them a tent that would otherwise go to a landfill, it's a real no-brainer.
Yes, it's a real no-brainer. They aren't even real refugees. Now back to the fires.
Some of these just looking for basic commodities. If you start thinking about, hey, we need water, we need toilet paper, we need basic medical supplies. They're just fundamental things that some of these communities now are going without for some time.
Residents have had their first chance to visit the remains of their homes and assess all that they've lost.
You walk around a bit of your house and you just go, oh, that was the bedroom, and all just my baby memories from my kids and just everything, just gone.
Just those years, those memories, just that beautiful time we had together as a family, just gone.
67-year-old Mick Roberts stayed to protect his home and paid the ultimate price. The great-grandfather, the first casualty in Victoria's bushfire crisis. Now, real fears that he won't be the last. The death toll set to rise with 17 people confirmed missing in East Gippsland in Victoria.
We have seen far too many lost, and as the Premier in Victoria has just indicated, still many unaccounted for in a lot of these small communities in East Gippsland. and it will be some time before we're able to know where they are and if they're well or indeed they've been lost.
Hundreds are sheltered in tents at
Yes, tents.
the Swan Reach football ground.
All of my possessions have been totally incinerated. There is just simply nothing left.
And they are donating to Syria.
Nothing at all except ash.
The crisis has brought out the best in some, donations of food, clothes and money streaming into another temporary shelter.
Anyway, I'll just fast forward a bit.
Now, you'll remember the terrifying pictures we brought you yesterday of a fire truck overrun by a bushfire in the state's south. The four-man team were driving through a bushfire south of Nowra when they were hit by embers on all sides. Channel 7's Chris Reason later spoke to the crew about their incredible escape.
The Central Coast firefighters sent south to help with the Currawin fire were caught on unsealed Hames Road near Nowra. Embers cascade down from a fire off to the left that they can't outrun. It storms closer, the radiant heat almost unbearable. Jasper, put the blanket up. Suddenly, it's like driving through hell. This urban fire truck has no sprinkler safety system. They are beyond vulnerable. Flashover, the air so hot, everything explodes. This is life or death.
Yes, brave firefighters are risking their lives while the left make it political.
The smoke from Australia's bushfires has hit the North Island, with Auckland and Hamilton residents taking pictures of the sun-coloured orange by the haze. Pictures were also taken in places like Gisborne, Lake Taupo and also Whanganui. Christchurch residents got up early to catch a red sunrise, while cities further south, such as Queenstown and Dunedin, were hit by the smoke yesterday. Scientists say the ash is turning our glaciers orange and could hasten their demise. Adam Hollingworth reports.
When you think of New Zealand glaciers, you think white, but it might be time to think again. These pictures were captured on top of Tasman Glacier yesterday. They show the effects of smoke and ash from the Australian bushfires.
Can't believe it. They just sort of look and you just go, how could this happen? Because it's just everywhere you look. Every bit of the glacier, the Southern Alps, is covered in this ash. And it's making for some spectacular photos. And also with sunset, sunrises.
The usually pristine white snow turning a shade much closer to that of the Sahara to match the murky sky.
It looks like sand all over the glacier. Yellowy, orangey, it's a really sort of weird colour, and that's all just come from Australia from the bushfires.
The ash creates stunning scenery but could also destroy it long term. One Australian climatologist fears it will make our glaciers recede more quickly, and former Prime Minister Helen Clark is tweeting about it, saying the impact of ash on glaciers is likely to accelerate melting.
Auntie Helen is back. Not a word about the suffering Australians, just climate change propaganda.
But alpine guides say previous dustings were less spectacular, but the glaciers have always recovered.
I don't think it'll be causing any major issues for the glacier. It's been around for a long time. It's going to be here for a long time to come.
Yes, at least not all are buying into it. Anyway, now to our dear leader's season's greetings.
And a very, very Merry Christmas to every single one of you. I hope, if I have one wish for you this year, I hope that all of you, bar watching this message now, are then putting down your devices, stepping away from social media and spending some quality time with family and friends. And as we go into what will be a big 2020, an election year 2020, I hope that everyone finds a little bit of peace as they go into the next year after a pretty tough year for New Zealand.
Yeah, but how about Australia, Jacinda? How about extending a few kind words to them during this tough time?
I know for me, I'm going to be focused on just continuing the work that we've done this year to keep going, keep making progress on some of those big challenges.
You complete buffoon. You're taking this country backwards, not forwards. Yes, this woman is completely out of touch. She couldn't even offer any condolences to the families of the dead and suffering in Australia during that season's greeting announcement. And she made that announcement just before flying to Australia for a holiday.